I thought maybe with her saying maybe she knew her.
So she went, but you know, we just try to do everything we can for my little niece. So she's there for that. It's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks. I'm the fire chief here, and Donna asked to use our room. This is a community room that we have here available. If anybody ever needs one, no charge. If you want to give a donation, that's fine, but there's never a charge here if you're in the Inman community area. Bathrooms are here. Some folks brought some treats and things over here. Both exits go straight out, so if there's any problem, that's going to be your exits and all that. So you're all welcome anytime. The building is yours. It belongs to the community. That's the fire department side of all of this, okay? Thank you all for being here, and I'm sure, Donna, thank you so much for asking us to do this.
Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I really do appreciate it very much. I'm Representative Donna Hicks. I represent House District 37, which is Inman and Bowling Springs. I appreciate everyone coming out tonight for the town hall meeting. I haven't had one of these in a long time. 2 years ago I had several over in the Bowling Springs area, but I hadn't had one in Inman, so it's well overdue. So I'm glad to be here tonight. For you tonight, I have this book in the back. This is a gift from the South Carolina House. This is something that we give to all of our visitors when they come to the House of Representatives for a tour. It's the symbols and emblems of our state. So it may be interesting. I give them to all the third graders when they come through. They always bring the third grade classes down because they're studying government at that age. This book's a little bit thicker. You're welcome to have one of these. These are really nice books. They put them out every year. These are our 2015. They're getting ready to put out the 2016. You're welcome to have one. It gives you the members of the Senate, the members of the House. It gives you our judges, the governor's office. It tells you about the rules. It gives you the county offices, the mayors. Anything you want to know about the state is tightly tucked into this book right here. It's a lot of good information. You may want to pick up one for your child if you have a school child, or if you want to keep one for just yourself. You're welcome to have one of those. That is for you. And I have my business card attached to this right here so that you can have my information. If you don't have it, I try to keep it published for everyone. The phone number that is on this card is my cell phone. That's this one right here. You call it, it rings. And I'm here for the people. I serve the people. And so I'm glad you all came out tonight. I have several things I want to go over, and I ended up having some meetings and stuff prior to this, so I don't think I'm quite having to set out exactly like I wanted it. But you know what? We're just going to roll with it, because that's who I am. I can roll with it. I can do it. And oh yeah, I did have one of these to hand out to you guys too. This is a brief bio of me, my resume, where I've gone to school, and on the back a few of the bills that I've sponsored, just a few of them. So if you'll notice, I was born and raised in Spartanburg. Went to Spartanburg High School, graduated from there, and I attended USC Upstate. And then from there, I worked at First Baptist Church for 8 years, and I left there to go to seminary. I felt a call on my life. And I had wanted to go into politics. When I was at USC, I was studying, and I was in the Young Republicans, very excited, and I heard the Lord distinctly say, no, you're going to seminary. So I said, okay, yes, Lord, yes, sir. So I went to seminary, went to New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, where I spent 5 years there, got a master's in divinity and biblical languages, and then worked on my PhD. We're still working on the PhD. I ain't quite finished that yet. I ran out of time and money and came home. But what I realized is after I got back, the Lord started opening up a door for me to get back into politics. And then I realized, the Lord never wastes anything. And so I realized that's why He sent me to New Orleans. He was preparing me for this job. This is a tough job, and you really need to have a good foundation in your life to work from for this job. Which brings me to another reason why I'm here tonight. As your legislator, you need to be able to depend on me and know that when I vote, I'm voting the right way for what is best for my constituents and for South Carolina. That is very important to me. I am a person of integrity. Always have been, and that's very important to me. And so, every 2 years we run for re-election. So I'm here tonight not to talk to you about re-election or anything like that, but I'm here to talk to you about my integrity, because it has been attacked, because it is an election year. And so it has come under attack. 2 years ago it was under attack, this year it's even worse. So I decided, I think I need to stand up and let my people know a few things about me and who I am, and just squash some of this integrity stuff. I got a text message or an email today that said, you don't live in your district, a P.O. box is not good enough, we're going to vote you out. And I thought I had squashed that one time because people do not believe that I live in Bowling Springs for some reason. So I went to, I live at the Promenade in Bowling Springs, and I went and got a copy of my lease. And there's a letter from the office saying, I do live there. Okay? So anybody that wants to know that, this is your information, and I'll have it laying right out here where you can come and look at it if you don't believe me, just holding it up. And I also have further proof. My good friend Ann Ring is here tonight. Ann, did you not help me move into my apartment?
You worked me like a dog.
There you go. I did. I actually live up on the 3rd floor, so she's not kidding. We toted stuff up 3 flights of stairs at the Promenade. And but prior to that, I lived at 26 Angela Circle. I went through a divorce. That was my ex-husband's home, so I had to leave that home, and I moved to Bowling Springs, and I've been living in that apartment ever since. Claudia Sims is my realtor. People may know Craig and Claudia Sims in the community, and Claudia and I are looking for a house. She's helping me find a house. You can talk to her about it. She's well acquainted with me. And so she knows that I'm looking for a house, and she knows exactly where I live. So let's put that to bed. Let's say, okay, so Donna really does live in Bowling Springs, and she represents the people of Bowling Springs. So that's good. All right. What's another thing that that's being said about me? All right, here we go. I voted for funding of Planned Parenthood, and I'm speaking of this little mailer that went out. I voted for funding Planned Parenthood. For those of you who don't know me or follow me that well, I have been appointed by the Speaker of the House of South Carolina to handle the pro-life legislation in South Carolina. This past summer, I went up against the Oversight Committee to get them to investigate DSS, HSS, and any other government agency to make sure how we were funding Planned Parenthood, if we were indeed funding them in any way, and I was going to cut it out of the budget. Well, guess what? Here's our budget, General Appropriations Bill. It's not in there. We do not fund Planned Parenthood out of the budget. I do not appropriate funding to Planned Parenthood. It's not in here. Now let me tell you how Planned Parenthood gets money in the state, which I do want to stop, and I'm going to work on that. I have a bill in to fund Planned Parenthood that went nowhere this year. It stayed, it's all about roads this year, and we just couldn't get the bill to move. But to defund it. Planned Parenthood has contracts with Medicare, or Medicaid, I'm sorry, with Medicaid. And Medicaid reimburses for women's health services, not for abortions. So they turn in their itemized bill for women's health services, and they get reimbursed for it, and that goes through HHS. And that is, if you look at it in the budget, that is section 33, where we fund the Department of HHS. Yes, we fund the Department of HHS, we do. But the Medicaid reimbursement comes from the federal government, not from the state. And they're reimbursed for health services, but not for abortions. And it says, if you read the contracts, in the contracts it says, not for abortion. So I actually went and tried to meet with the governor this year. I met with some of her employees. Her staff members never got to meet with her, and I asked her to defund because she could cancel those Medicaid contracts. Other states have, and they're being sued for that now. The federal government's suing them. So she didn't want to do it because she doesn't want to be sued, is what she said. So that's her prerogative. She's the governor. I have done all that I know how to do as a state representative to try to shut down Planned Parenthood. All right, but we're still working on it. So I have several bills in the House right now. I have one that requires an ultrasound. Did you know in South Carolina an ultrasound is optional? A woman can give her the date of her last menstrual cycle, and the doctor will figure from that as to how pregnant she is. And then also just kind of said he can feel here and kind of know from the roundness of her tummy and that sort of thing. In an age where we have so much scientific equipment and knowledge, I can't believe in South Carolina we still get along with that type of discovery as to how long a woman is pregnant. Because we have a law in South Carolina that when a child is at a certain stage, gestation age, that you cannot perform an abortion. So we need to have, and even DSS agreed with me and said, yes, we need to have an ultrasound requirement for South Carolina. That bill's still sitting in committee and it's going nowhere. I will put that one back up again next year as well. I have another one that will stop dismemberment. Even if you have an abortion, there is no reason in this world, no reason ever to pull a baby apart piece by piece out of the mother's womb. There's no reason for that on earth. It is cruel, it is unjust, and those babies can feel that, and it has to stop. That is an abomination to me. That is an abomination to God. It tears my heart out to think about it. So I have that bill in committee right now. And it has gone nowhere either. So we shouldn't do that. I've also signed on to and helped get support for the personhood bill, which says life begins at conception, and once a child is conceived, the child has all the rights of a born human and therefore has rights and cannot be aborted. So that bill is not going anywhere either, and that bill has been put up since Roe v. Wade every year. And so we still put it up and we still fight it, and I still fight as hard as I can on it. I think the time's beginning to turn a little bit with science and instruction. We're beginning to learn more and more about what the child is, who the child really is. It's not a fetus, it's not a blob, it is a real baby, it is a real child. So, and I saw something the other day that just thrilled my heart, and I posted it on Facebook. It said that actually when the egg and the sperm meet, that there is a spark of life, that they're actually able to record that now. They said that when the sperm enters in, it's a zinc release, and the zinc creates a spark, and you can tell the viability of the baby, of how well that baby's going to do by the degree of how big that spark is. So don't tell me that God doesn't know what He's doing, and that life doesn't begin at conception. So we're getting smarter and smarter with our technology and all that we have to discover and look inside the woman, into the egg. We know more now, so we'll be able to dispute it more. So I'm just hopeful, and we keep pushing. So as far as this goes, that I voted to fund Planned Parenthood, never in my life, ever would I do that. I have fought every which way I know how, every way I can. As a matter of fact, I've had some people come to me from the State House lobbyists that are out there, and they said, Donna said, the Planned Parenthood lobbyists out there are talking to us and saying, can you get her to shut up? Is there anything you can do to stop her? I've been down there since 2012, and I started out in education. I was there for 2 years in education, and then I was moved to judiciary. And I was moved to judiciary because that is the committee, and my subcommittee, General Laws, is the committee that hears the pro-life bills. And so I was moved there for that reason. They saw how I worked with people. I'm not negative. I'm not going to go against and be divisive and underhanded. They knew that I have integrity. I've got a great heart. I work hard. And so because I was able to network and people gained a trust in me, the chairman of judiciary said he wanted me on judiciary and he wanted me fighting these bills. And so that's what I do. I also fight for foster care. I've helped switch the group that fights for human trafficking to try to stop our human trafficking situation. So I do a lot with family type bills and helping South Carolina and our families be stronger and healthier and have more solutions when we need help. So that's one of the things that I do. So I just wanted to bust that whole thing open too, that, okay, y'all know where I live now, and you know that I didn't fund Planned Parenthood, I didn't vote for it. Oh yeah, And this is Life Pack. This is from the South Carolina Citizens for the Right to Life. This is their letter that they sent to me stating that they support me for re-election, okay? So they are one of my supporters. Okay, another little thing that came up about my integrity. I don't know if y'all seen this. How many people out there Facebook? Anybody Facebook? Any of you guys are my Facebook friends? Y'all see? You are? Okay. All right. I know Facebook doesn't reach everybody, but I Facebook for those that it does reach. I enjoy putting stuff out there and Facebooking and reading the different things that come in. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy that. And I try to keep people up to date on stuff that's going on at the State House, or where I've been and what I'm doing, and that sort of thing. I try to just, put that stuff out, and every once in a while I'll throw in something funny and cute as well. And I enjoy doing that. But I saw a post on Facebook. I sent a letter out early on. Well, I don't know that I should talk about that. Let me just say that Dr. Hannah is a really good friend of mine. I've known Dr. Hannah for many years, okay? And there's just been some other lies out there about mine and Dr. Hannah's relationship as far as whether or not he is a friend of mine, okay? I'll just leave it at that, because this is not a campaign meeting. I'm not talking about campaign stuff, so I don't want to get into that, okay? But there's some questions about that, and I just want you to know that Dr. Hannah and I are good friends, and Dr. Hannah, I appreciate him. We have breakfast together sometimes at the Grapevine, along with a whole bunch of other people. I hang out up there. If y'all ever want to find me in Boiling Springs, you'll probably find me at the Grapevine, because that's where everybody hangs out. That's where the 200 Post hangs out. That's where the Lions Club hangs out. That's where a whole bunch of the old timers hang out, and I go up there and pop in and eat breakfast and have a good time and all of that. So, all right, so we did that one. Ethics, okay. The rumor's going around that I am very unethical and that I have an ongoing ethical problem. Okay, did anybody read the articles in the newspaper about me filing late this time? The last cycle. Okay, so why am I even talking about it then? Anyway, every quarter we have to file an ethics report. I'm looking for it. There it is, campaign ethics. Here we go. Every quarter we have to file an ethics report. This is a printed copy of my last ethics report right here. Okay, so we have to file this, and what you do is you send in and you record every campaign donation that you get, and you record everything that you purchase. And we have rules and regulations about what you can, and you've got to balance with your checking account. All right, it is due a certain time each month. They give you a 10-day grace period. Well, my fourth quarter filing for 2015 ended up being late. I was in the 10-day grace period, and I was under contract with First Tuesday out of Columbia. I had been working with them and paying them for a whole year, and they didn't file it. And so ethics came to me on the State House floor and said, "Donna, your filing's not done." I said, "What? I've never missed a filing date. I've never missed one. And I've always done my own. I've never given it to anybody else to do. And this is one time," because they kept saying, "Let us do it for you. Let us do it for you." I'm like, and I have the emails to prove all that. "Let us do it for you." And so I did. They didn't file it. I called them, and she said, "Oh, I didn't have time to get to it. I'll get to it." I said, "It's late. They do this for a living. They handle campaigns for a living, so I'm not cutting them any slack, okay, here." But anyway, I immediately wrote a check. I had to pay a $100 fine out of my personal account for being late. So I wrote the check, cleared that up, and so I said, "You need to file that now." Well, they filed it without even letting me look over it, and it was $700 and something overdrawn, is what it showed. But I had money in my checking account, and my checking account was not overdrawn. And so immediately there was a press release done to the Spartanburg newspaper that I was unethical, that I had done this. And then the former chairman of the Spartanburg County GOP, Rick Beltram, filed an ethics report on me and sent it to the ethics department. So I do not have an ethics problem. So I went to campaign ethics compliance services, And I turned over every one of my records from 2012 to 2015, gave it to this third party, cost me over $3,000 to pay for it, to do it. And I had them audit me, everything from day one. Everything's in balance. There was a mathematical clerical error where something was not written, or something was recorded twice and it made it look like my account was overdrawn, and everything is balanced. And here is her statement saying that they performed a thorough review and reconciliation of my disclosure reports, and I am in balance, and my bank was never negative. I didn't write this. This comes from her. If you want to call her and ask her yourself, you can. She'll tell you. So, and Ethics now has all of my records because I've turned them over to Ethics for them to now go through them. Because I'm an ethical person, and it really bothers me for somebody to attack my integrity, okay? Because I'm here to serve you. I am your servant. I'm here to serve the people, and you need to know, because there's so many that aren't ethical. You need to know that when I'm serving you, I'm serving with an ethical heart, with morality, and I'm doing what I should do for the people, and that I am here, I am available, I will talk to you, I will help you if you need help. And so it breaks my heart to hear for things like that. And so I don't have an ongoing ethics report, okay? That's what's being said, but I don't. So I don't know what more to say about that. I have, like I said, I just brought evidence. I feel like I'm in a court of law here today. I'm just bringing evidence because you deserve to know. You deserve to know. You're the voters. You're the one that put the people in the office, and you deserve to know. All right, so let's hit some of the harder things here. Okay, I voted for a massive 72% tax increase on gasoline. Short story. I voted for the tax increase. I did. I was reading back through, I keep my papers and stuff. I was reading back through today on the roads, and I was reading all of the articles and all of the papers of what was written. And I don't know if y'all can remember back last year what was going on, but there were 4 or 5 plans that were out there. Bill Chumley put up one that I thought would have been a great idea. He said, let's raise the gas tax 20%, and then we'll give all the South Carolinians a card where they can use their driver's license, and they swipe it, and immediately the gas tax goes away, and you just pay the regular rate, and we'll just do it for the 1/3. And I thought it was great, but it didn't get through the House. Doug Brandon put up one that was very similar, and then when he saw Bill Chumley's, he and Doug got together, and they tried to get that through, and it didn't. So. But let me explain to you, we did not have a surplus at the time. And I sent everybody the link to this report right here that the Oversight Committee did on transportation. We didn't find a golden pot of money at the end of the rainbow anywhere. We didn't find anything hidden. Is there corruption? Yes, it's a government agency. You're going to find overspending and corruption, and we've got to try to pull that out. And we need to try to, we're working on right now. We've got a bill right now where we're trying to rework how we do business with them to try to correct some of that. Okay, so we're going back and forth with the Senate right now, working on reforming DOT, and that needs to happen, and I agree with that. But at the time, we didn't have a big pot of money. But yes, our roads are falling apart. We have logging trucks that can't cross bridges because the load's too heavy, and we have load-restricted bridges because they need to be repaired. And so they're going on other roads, taking other routes, taking longer, and now they're tearing up those secondary roads because those roads aren't built for those heavy logging trucks. So we have all types of issues that are going on in this state, and we need to fix the doggone roads. So I did a tax survey, and thank you for all of you that turned that back in. And one of the questions I asked is, would you be in favor of a tax increase, and under what conditions? Some said no, no matter what, no. Some said yes, if you fix the DOT, and some said just fix the darn roads, raise whatever you need to do. So let me give you a little background on this. 1/3, okay, so let's do a little bit of math. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 creates a whole. 1/3 of the cars that pass through this state are out-of-state drivers. They don't pay anything to come through our state because as taxpayers, we collect taxpayer dollars, and because the state doesn't have any money unless they collect the money, right? So all of our taxpayer dollars coming out of the general fund now are going to fund the roads. So there's nobody there. We need to, and I did this right after I voted to raise the taxes, I put in a bill to reduce our income taxes, to get it down lower in line with North Carolina and Georgia. And just to be honest, we have one of the steepest tax codes. I know they say, well, 7% is not too bad. We have one of the steepest though. From at $14,000, you hit the 7% tax bracket. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is so way below the poverty level. We need to change that for South Carolinians. From 0 to $13,999, you pay 0 taxes. And then everybody else pays 7%. That is absolutely crazy. There are other ways that we need to work our tax brackets and change taxes. If we were to take away some of the exemptions that we have, then we could lower that tax. We've got, I think I put in my letter to you guys that I'm going to be on a tax reform committee. We had our first meeting last week, and we had a lady take us through a class on where we are, and I was just amazed. It is absolutely too much for me to tell you, so I'm going to get her up here to tell you. We will do another town hall, and I will promote it, and we'll have a screen like this, and she will show you some amazing things of what we can do to make South Carolina better and what we're working on. But just know that I am on it like a dog on a bone. I am on it. We need to fix taxes in South Carolina. We do need to lower them, and that's not just saying something. I'm on the committee. I was put on the committee because I begged to be put on the committee, because we need to lower taxes. When we lower taxes, you got more money in your pocket, the economy grows. It's been proven over and over and over. That is the best way to grow a state economically, is to lower the taxes. And so that's what we're going to do. And it's a great program. I look forward to that. I also want you to know, I've had DOT up here. I've talked with Christy Hall. She's the DOT secretary. And I got her on the phone, and I got one of her lead engineers from Columbia, Andy. He came up here. He met with Eric Dillon and myself and several others, Scott Miller, the fire chief, and we met over in Bowling Springs, right there on Highway 9, where 4th Street feeds in. And if y'all ever come over this way towards Bowling Springs, you know that's a death trap over there. It's a lot of, really bad. And we've got a lot of new growth. We've got a new school coming in. We've got new housing going in over there. So we have a lot of problems in that area. So if you ever travel over there, you know what I'm talking about. Well, DOT is now, I talked to them, I said, we've got to have more infrastructure. We need a plan. We need a better turn lanes and that sort of thing. So they're taking about 3 months. They're going to do some investigation. They're going to look at the roads. They're going to come back with a plan. And they have promised me that they will come back and they will do a town hall meeting. We're going to hold a town hall meeting with DOT too. And it's going to be where they're going to explain everything to us. They're going to show things to us, and then we can do a question and an answer period with them. So they've got some good things coming up for everybody. And let's see, what's the other thing? Okay, the Confederate battle flag. I have to own that. I did vote to remove the Confederate battle flag. And let me just go over some information with you on that. All right, when that happened, I'm gonna sit down for a minute for this one. When that happened with the Confederate battle flag, I was sitting at home on a Wednesday night, and I had Fox News come across my phone, little feeders, and Channel 7, so I could just stay up to date on everything. And I saw a thing run across my phone that said, incident in Charleston, South Carolina, there's a shooter, more to come. Nobody really knew, and I thought, goodness gracious. And then I started seeing a little more information about it. It was a church and people were dead. And so I got real upset, and I went to bed that night just praying, because anytime there's a shooting at a church and I didn't know what was going on, the next morning when I woke up, I saw on the news exactly what had happened. I heard that Senator Clemente Pinckney had been murdered along with 8 other of his church members, And that hits really close to home. If you've ever had a relative die, a friend die, somebody really close, especially when they're young and it's not their time, it hits you hard. It hits, you know, it's tough. And so it was like, this is not really happening. I immediately got on the phone and started calling some of my legislative friends from the Charleston area and said, what can I do to help? Please tell me, you know. And we started talking. They told me what was going on. People were headed to Charleston. Then I got a text message from my church. I go to Anderson Mill Road Baptist Church. I got a text message that said we're doing a prayer vigil at the church. So I jumped in my car, went there at 10 a.m., met at the church, prayed, actually laid hands on Reverend McDaniel, who is the bishop of Macedonia Baptist Church. That is the African American church right beside the Beacon, and prayed over him because I knew that he had some real tough decisions to make. I realized as a legislator, as a leader in this state, I could help this thing go one way or the other. And I thought about Ferguson, I thought about Baltimore and how things got out of hand and how things were torn up. And I can imagine Charleston in flames, Charleston in an uproar over this situation because it wasn't right. It wasn't right by any stretch of the imagination. You know, a man had gone into a church and had killed 9 people. And so I said that this cannot be. So I prayed for that minister. And I know Keith McDaniels. I know him personally because I'm very active in the African American churches. As a teacher, I do Bible studies. I teach in churches. I teach in all types of churches. As a matter of fact, I'm at Westgate Free Will Baptist Church right now. This is the pastor's wife. This is Tanya Smith. Pastor Kevin Smith has me there, and I'm doing some things at the church, helping with church growth and some planning. And we well, thank you. And we just finished a ladies' Bible study there, didn't
And
we?
they're ready for more. That's all I hear. Tell Donna I need more, and all this ethical, more. I mean, all this stuff just blows my mind because I see her daily at the church, giving, doing, time. It's not cheap. She, you know, to minister in a church is not cheap. She never asks for anything. Oh, you need me to pray with you, or you want me to have a Bible? I'm there. Oh, I mean, I'm in Columbia all week, but I'm going to rush back and walk right in the door and do a Bible study for you. Why? Oh, because she's just unethical and she's this terrible person. She's a good person. I see her daily giving, just giving. That's why I'm here. I'm like, how can they say those things? And then, well, here's the preacher's wife sitting right here on the front row saying, I watch her. I watch her do it. I watch her minister to women. Women like women. We bond. You know, we don't have a lot of that at our church. You know, she's brought a lot of that in there to women. We bond together. We're on the same side. You know, she brought a peace into things. She's all this absolutely blows my mind because I see her at church, involved in church on a daily basis. I see it. How can you say that something's true when I'm looking at it? You know, I'm looking right at it. Don't tell me that's what's true because it's not. I watch her every day. I tell her all the time. She is, to me, she's so strong in her faith. That is a good Christian woman right there. And I tell her, if I could be half what you are, I feel like I did good. And that's why I'm here sitting on the front row. Because that's not who Donna is.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give you a hug. Sorry. It's just a town hall. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's totally unsolicited. Thank you very much. So anyway, back to the flag thing. So it was a tough decision, and I felt like the right thing to do. And I have ancestors who fought in the war, okay? And this is not against the flag. The flag has been co-opted. Hate groups took it over and turned it into something that it wasn't, okay? But it needed to be removed and put into a place of honor, not flying over the State House, because we live in a day and time where we have all types of race, ethnicity, people groups in this state, and they're all taxpayers. And so we shouldn't have to go to the State House and see something down there that points to one group. And so I felt like we did need to remove the flag, and I did it, I take it, and I own it. And I have people that agree with me, and I have people that don't agree with me. And that's okay. That's okay. I take it. That's what I did. I felt like with my heart that that was the right thing to do, because I want everyone, when they come to the State House, to be proud of our state and feel like that they have just as much of a voice and a purpose and a life and a future and a hope in this state. And it doesn't belong to one people group or one era of tradition. So flags give life to things. Flags are sovereign. They give life. So that flag didn't need to fly anymore. And that's my heart. We can talk about it. I'll be glad to discuss it with anyone. But that's, and I discussed it with constituents, and that's the way I voted.
One of the things, if you remember on the TV set, when it was the shooter, the murderer of those 9 people had wrapped himself in that flag.
He did. And he said he wanted to start
And
a race war.
and you're right, it's still a problem here. But the most important flag we have is the United States flag that's on top of every capital in this country.
Amen.
One of the most beautiful state flags, and I'm not original by birth from South Carolina, but it's that pimento flag. It's one of the most beautiful flags in the country.
It is beautiful,
You
isn't
be
it?
proud of that flag.
Absolutely.
And it represents a great state.
Absolutely. It does. I agree with that. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely. So anyway, that's where I am on that issue. I take it and I own it. I hope that, that you still can work with me and respect me and will call upon me and not hold one issue if we're in disagreement, be a one-issue person and hold that against me. Just realize that it's a big state. There's a lot of people, a lot of voices. I represent about 36,000 people, actually, in the Bowling Springs, Inman area of everyone. So it's a hard job. It's not an easy job. I love it. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy serving the people. It's great for me. I think what God has called me to do. But I do, the one thing that has caused me great concern, though, is the fact that I did support and vote for the flag, is that my name has now been given out to white heritage groups. And once the genie's out of the bottle, you don't know where it's going or who's going to pick it up. And so I'll just read the letter. I'm just going to read the letter. I'm just going to read it. So this went out, and I don't know who all it went out to, but this is what went out. Share this with everyone in South Carolina. Friends, I want to show you. This is a video of Rep. Donna Hicks, who I'm challenging, speaking to the NAACP, bragging about doing the right thing and taking down the Confederate battle flag. Hicks brags about the flag removal, and then has the link to the recording at the NAACP last Monday night, where we had a forum where all candidates were there to speak, okay, not just me. I can only expect that she will join Democrats and other rhinos in pushing for the removal of monuments, the changing of road names, and essentially a complete revision of history. I ask that you would please consider making a contribution to my campaign so that I can unseat her in the Republican. Well, I'll skip that part anyway. Then his information. This is the other thing. Also, should you like to express your displeasure with Rep. Hicks, she can be reached at 864-804-2439. So far today, I have received a phone call from Maryland and a phone call from Georgia from 2 men that have told me that they're very disappointed in me for taking down the flag. So I have received Facebook messages, and I have received posts and things. My face has been put on a postcard saying, yes, I voted to take down your flag. So I think that this young person who is a constituent doesn't understand what he's done to our community or what he's doing to our community by making this an issue and bringing this in. So, I'm to the point that I don't feel safe. And I did turn this over to SLED, and they are investigating. I just want y'all to know that, because you have to be careful with hate groups. You just don't know what's going to happen. So I just wanted to let y'all know that. That's the same place where this stuff's coming from as well.
Have you been threatened, Donna,
So,
personally?
Not a personal threat yet, but just things like kick her out, remove her, calling me bad names,
That's
stuff like that.
political. That's political.
Well, yeah, so, but nothing like a personal threat as
If you
in
get a
a,
personal threat, you need to notify the police right away.
yes, sir. Well, we have an officer in the back of the room just in case. So, our Sheriff Chuck Wright has provided protection for me tonight, just in case.
One
So,
of the things
we
that's
take that seriously.
One of the great things that's happening right now in South Carolina, there's lots of businesses coming in, because this is an area that businesses feel safe for development.
Right,
And Boyd didn't come here except for that reason.
that's right.
Boyd is a lot of jobs. We need jobs in the state.
Yes, we do, and that's what we need to work on, which roads and
We need a
bridges,
tax base eventually to pay for schools, hospitals, roads,
Absolutely.
and everything else.
absolutely.
And it doesn't come cheap.
That's
More
right.
businesses that come in is gonna help.
That's right. So we
They're
need to
not gonna
fix our
come in-
roads and
they're not
bridges,
gonna
we
come
need
in
to work
with
on our
that flag.
education. Exactly, we need roads and bridges, education, lower taxes, working on development. I've been working here in Inman, for those of you that know, we're trying to get the sewer line run down all the way out to 292. Well, let me tell you, I tried to get $1 million put into the budget from the infrastructure association that we have in South Carolina. But believe it or not, Inman does not qualify as rural. Can you believe that? And she talked to me about it. She did. Bonnie said, "You don't qualify as rural. I like to drop the name." I said, "You're kidding. We're a bunch of farmers up here. We've got land and horses and, what are you saying?" She said, "Well," she said, "you're tied in with Spartanburg County Census, and so you're not actually rural." So we couldn't get that money. So I worked with, and this is why it's important, who you elect, who is in office, okay? So I worked with Chairman White of the Ways and Means, and we developed a new category, a new line item for the budget for rural areas like this that can't be called rural for whatever reason, because of the census or whatever, that still needs the help. Because do we not need the help up here, y'all? Yes, we need the help. And so we can now apply that. We put $400 million, moved some out of the other. It's not like we created new money. We moved some out of the regular infrastructure into this special category for us. And then the Senate bumped it to 900, because the Senate always gets more money coming from their side after we pass the budget over, then they pass it back to us. And so now there's 900 million in there now. We put 400 million in, they put in 500 million, so now there's 900 million. So now, our city administrator can go and apply for this rural infrastructure money out of this budget that's been put aside. I helped do that, y'all. I helped do that because I'm pushing and I'm trying to create a better community for Inman and for Bowling Springs. And we do need help. So that's one of the things that I'm proud of that I've done this year. So, okay, I'm going to open it up for questions. I've talked a lot, and I need something to drink. Can I get a drink? If somebody can get something. I'm about to cough. So, somebody want to ask me a question?
Yeah, on that flag,
Yes,
you
sir?
ever thought that this kid had done that? Maybe it wasn't that flag, maybe it was bad parenting. You ever thought about that? Did anybody in the state have things like that?
Oh,
We
no.
can't discipline our children anymore, and that ain't good.
I agree. I agree with that.
So
I agree.
it's just like this young man standing right here. They so easy, they sure want to shoot him.
Okay.
For
His
what
question, okay, his question is, did you ever think that with the flag situation, that it was just bad parenting? And yes, it could have been, but even though with bad parenting, he, like you said, he wrapped himself in the flag. He said he was trying to start a race war, and truly, maybe he got there because of bad parenting, but he still got there. He still murdered 9 people, and he wanted it to be a race war. And he did. If you look at his Facebook, it was all about that flag. So he was drawing his strength from that. And so, unfortunately, it's a beautiful flag. It is a beautiful flag, and it is part of our heritage. But it has been co-opted by a hate group, and I hate that. That's our fault. We let that happen. And so now we're going to put it in a museum. We're going to honor it there, but it just not fly on the State House grounds. But now let me tell you this: when the war widows put up that monument on the State House grounds, they didn't put the flag up there then. And then the monument was torn down, something happened to it, it was an earthquake or something, they had to rebuild it, still didn't put it up there. That was part of the compromise from when it came off the top of the dome, it was put there. And so, you know, I think maybe that wasn't the best decision at that time to do that, and we did it, probably should have gone right to a museum then. But there's nothing wrong with a museum. People love museums, it's a great place of honor. They've got great plans of where to put that flag, and they're gonna put the names of every soldier that fought under that flag. And there were African Americans that fought under that flag too, okay? So it's like I said, it's not a white thing or a black thing. It's a heart situation that we have
Well, I
here.
understand that, I just know.
Yeah, I know,
the
and I'm
flag
just,
is
no, you and I
racist.
are friends, I know you, and we're good, but I'm just explaining, because maybe I didn't explain it enough, and I'm just trying to explain a little bit further. But we're gonna put the names, and we're gonna honor those people with their names, and we've got a beautiful memorial park where you can go and sit and you can read all their names. Have you ever been to the wall in DC? I have. It gives me chills. Just thinking about it, it gives me chills. It's an ominous wall with just name after name after name of every veteran that gave his life for that cause in Vietnam. As a matter of fact,
55,000, think of that.
I was
All
over
under
at
25.
USC today. We had an event for veterans today, and I stood there and talked with a Vietnam veteran today. Shook his hand and thanked him for his service. He made it back, but not everybody did. So, so that's important too.
Can I
That's
add
part of
something?
our history.
Can I add something to what I was talking about? The NCAA puts on one of the greatest basketball tournaments, and it basically goes to Indianapolis. They have had that for years. It brings in $100 million into the city alone. That's the businesses, the restaurants, the motels, everybody that makes money, everybody coming in for those games. South Carolina has not been able to get that. You know why? The flag.
Yeah, they
Because
boycotted, but they lifted
most of the
the
players in the
boycott.
collegiate level are black people. They are excellent basketball players, but they will not come here. Now, this is going to change. And it's also changing in the business community. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to have more money for schools. We're going to have more money for roads. We've got great hospitals now. My wife had open heart surgery with Stephen Leyland. How many of you know who Stephen Leyland is? He's the best heart surgeon. He's one of the He's one of the best heart surgeons in the United States. We got him at Spartanburg Regional. We got a great hospital.
I'm gonna shift on you here. I just remembered something about the Syrian refugee thing as well. Just one thing was taken out of context on that, and then I'll let you go, because we're gonna finish at 7:30, so I promise you that. But I need to straighten this out.